Good morning and welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Flame. It is the 28th of March, 2017. And things, as always, are heating up in Trump land. And I have the latest and greatest, or perhaps not so greatest, news regarding our 45th president. To have a 45th president alone is a milestone. Am I right? Weren't there a number of prophets from years gone by that said the 44th president would be the last president of the United States? This is true. This is true. And what do we have? Well, we have the 45th president. Now, some people may say that Trump is not truly the president, that the election results were hacked by the Russians, that it was all WikiLeaks' fault. So really, in a subjective slide rule, morality world, Trump's not really the president. In their world. That's not the case, really. There was an election. It did happen. We had an electoral college. They confirmed the president would be elected. And for this, all the hand-wringing about the electoral college, and which I understand, by the way, because it's frustrating. If somebody wins a popular vote, you would say, the people wanted this person. The people wanted this person to be president. Now, let's say, for instance, we'll flip the script, and let's say it was Trump winning the popular votes and Hillary winning the electoral college. We'd be having the same dialogue and the same shouting at each other from across our respective, whatever, aisles, desks, cubicles, bars. Although I will tell you this, most liberals and conservatives don't go to the same bar. And that's a fact, Jack. It's just the way it is. Bars tend to be very, very clannish. Very clannish. Now, that's not to say that there's a little bit of crossover. Sometimes there is. But the same arguments would be applied, and the left would basically say, suck on it. It's the Electoral College. Electoral College. This is why we have the Electoral College. So that the people don't support some form of demagoguery. It's a way to keep the people in check. That's how the debate would have gone. Now, I had a listener/friend ask me if Trump was selected versus elected. Well, this is a good question. And my answer is that he was ultimately elected because there was an overwhelming support for a grassroots candidate. America had been through 8 years of a particular type of presidency and 4 years worth of really hotly pricked and probed and processed identity politics during the last 4 years of Obama. And people were tired of it. They were tired of the identity politics. They were tired of being made to feel guilty about either their race or their sexual identity or how much they made or how much they didn't make. And it was just like a big middle finger. And this is one of the things that Michael Moore got right. He was elected. Now, that said, I believe in the wee hours of the election, as they kept dragging it on and dragging it on and dragging it on, that there was a deal made. Because how many times have we had elections where it's like you haven't even come home, you haven't even like changed your clothes. Maybe you're getting ready to go out and vote. You're on the West Coast, and all of a sudden they're just broadcasting and blasting that the president or the candidate has won, projected to win. You sit there, you go, maybe I shouldn't vote. It doesn't matter. Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen this time, did it? Nope. Instead, what we got was this lingering malaise, this existential void that the left kept drifting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into. It's kind of like if you've ever been in the ocean and swum in the ocean, and it's kind of nice and warm, and you're enjoying it, and you're enjoying it, and you're enjoying it, you're splashing around, and all of a sudden you look around and people look like ants on the shore. Has that ever happened to anybody? It happened to me one time in Hawaii. And all of a sudden, the sirens go off in the head. Oh my God, we're in deep water. And you start to panic. Because you know that you've either got to cover that distance where the people are looking like ants, or you're headed in the other direction. So you do what you do. This is what was happening on election night. Now, the reason why I believe that it took so long was because there was a deal being made and Trump was agreeing to a deal. And we looked at the astrology around that, and it supported that. Talked about it on Regina Meredith's show over on Gaia Open Minds, there is a new one out with me. And a lot of people like it, some people don't. I can't please everybody. I do my best to be fair, and sometimes I have opinions, and sometimes I have a filter, and sometimes I go through what I go through, and it is what it is. And when I change my name to something like Adi Shantaba, you'll know that I won't have a position anymore. I'll be Adi Shanti Ba. Or maybe what I'll do is I've talked about this before, just change my name to Bobby G. Not Baba G, but Bobby G, because my name is Robert. So when I become Bobby G, then you'll know that I don't have a position really anymore, and I'll just spout really wonderful aphorisms about emptiness and grace and blessed peace and ecstasy. And I'll get millions of followers on Facebook, and they'll be kind of reflecting back these wonderful spiritual aphorisms. Then I won't have a position anymore. But I'll get lots of followers. He made a deal. And I think first and foremost, the deal was he was not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. I think that was at the nexus of the deal. It's like, okay, I'll leave her alone. And they got the pointy quill pen out, and they pricked his finger, and they dropped a pool of blood there on the contract. And they said, okay, Donald, go ahead and sign this. But you promise not to prosecute Hillary Clinton. Oh, no, by the way, would you like another slice of pizza? That's a joke, maybe a bad one. So he signed it, and we have a deal, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, wherever you were, very late on Cali time, probably the latest I think I've ever seen a president be announced to be president. It was named that the 45th president of the United States would be Donald Trump. And everybody woke up as if the world had ended. But a deal was made. So where are we now? Where are we now with the Trump presidency? Let's just do a quick kind of check. Because everything's happening. It's fast. It's furious. It's Sun-Uranus conjunction in Trump land. Okay, first of all, repealed the TPP. Let me repeat that again. He repealed the TPP. I know. It's worthy of applause, isn't it? It's totally worthy of applause. So we bow, we say, great. Let's stay away from this FINSA or TISA or whatever acronymic thing they're going to replace it with, keep that over there in the radioactive zone and just seal it for a while. He also pushed back on the Paris Accord. Now, I know in my heart of hearts, it's in my heart of hearts, and you can say, okay, Robert, you're wrong. Science refutes what you're about to say. I believe that the problems we're having with weather are caused by geoengineering. That's what I see, the extreme weather, the weather manipulation. It's caused by geoengineering. This is the severe climatology that we're being kind of forced to be indoctrinated with this whole kind of climate change business. Remember, it used to be global warming. Then they figured out, well, hey, the globe isn't really warming that much. It's really, we're going to call it climate change now. Because the climate is always changing. Get away with that. So he repealed the Paris Accord, which I don't think is a bad thing. There are a lot of other people out there that say, well, we got a real problem with the weather. Real problem. We got to think about the future generations. They don't think about the future generations. If people thought about the future generations, we wouldn't have genetically modified food. We wouldn't have all this crap in our food besides the genetically modified organisms. We wouldn't have Roundup. We wouldn't have all this other stuff, right? People would be out there every single day marching on Washington, basically squatting on Monsanto and every other big agribusiness in the world, letting them know we're not going to take your poison. Because if it was really about the future, people would be doing that. But instead, the weather is this kind of amorphous issue that's related to this emergent earth religion. And it is. Gaia is an earth religion. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I've got a streak of pagan in me. I like it. I like nature. I like me some good nature. It's important. We need to spend more time in it. It's essential to our souls, to our being. We need to take off our shoes and walk around in the grass and put our cell phones down and do all the other things that we've forgotten to do because we've been trained to live in these very, very small cubicles of the mind and the heart and the spirit. Vis-a-vis 2 by 4 inch screens. But, here's the but. But it cannot be used as a form of emotional, spiritual, psychological blackmail because that's what it is. It's extortion. It's extortion. Do we care about the earth? Of course we care about the earth. We want to have clean water, clear skies, good food, food that has not been tampered with. That's important stuff. And if the future was really, 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 really important to people, that's where they would go. Focus on that. I was watching, Dave Chappelle's got a new series of shows on Netflix, live concert performances from around the country. The first one is in Los Angeles, I believe, Hollywood. And it's a great show. Dave's back in fine form, at least in that show. The one in Austin, he's okay. I can be critical. But it was really interesting because he was talking to the Austin crowd about vaccines. Because Dave is a little edgy. He's a little politically incorrect. He'll push the envelope. And he was talking to the audience about vaccines. And he basically pulled the audience and said, we want our children to be safe and blah, blah, blah. And how do you feel about vaccines? And the crowd was like, yeah, man, we're into it. We love vaccines. Vaccines are good. Right up there in all the essential food groups. They should add another level of the food pyramid for vaccines. It wasn't that funny. But you know what I'm saying? Right at the top, vaccines, and then everything else. If they can make vaccines taste good, yum. Just put vaccines in food. How about that? Let's forget all the, crazy shots. Just food vaccine. Like if you could get a kid a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because everybody loves peanut butter and jelly, pretty much, right? Unless you're peanut intolerant, in which case, I don't know, jelly sandwich. Unless, of course, you're just gluten intolerant. You can't have the sandwich part. You could flip it out and have a gluten-free piece of bread, or maybe just jelly. See, now you just give the kid, just here, have some jelly. Open up wide, take a spoonful of jelly, because your vaccines are in here. But if they did that, if they made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with vaccines, everybody would love it. Mommy, could I have another one of those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Sure, honey. You know it has all your daily vaccines in it. I know, Mommy, and it tastes so good. Can I have some more vaccine, please? Maybe the vaccines are in the air. Maybe they're part of the aerosol program that's raining down upon us. Okay, back to the Trump checklist. He's done those things. Paris Accord, cut it. This is what Trump did to the Paris Accord. Killed it. It's what Trump did to the TPP. Killed it. And we're kind of okay. I'm okay with it. But now we're into, and this is positive Trump, we're playing the Trump Gemini game. There's the positive Trump and the negative Trump. This is the Gemini game. Trump says, hey, we've got to send more troops. We got to send more troops over to Syria, which he's been doing. That's not a great thing. So we have on the other side of the bad Trump, check that box. Not a great thing. This is a guy that said he's not going to expand foreign wars. People are thinking, oh, great. We get to stop sending people overseas. The vets that come home. The highest suicide rate in the country. Men 55 years and older. Some of these men would have been in places like Iraq around Gulf War I. Yeah, because I was 30 then. 50 years and older, I was 30 then. So there would have been 25-year-old guys in Iraq around Gulf War I. And guess what? They're 50 now. They're having to deal with all this shit that they were shot up with. So we have this terrible suicide rate in general for vets. Highest suicide rate, men over 50. But let's have some more wars. He puts in Rex Tillerson, the Aries dragon. Don't mess with this guy. I'm telling you, Rex Tillerson is a badass. Now, you may not like him. I'm not crazy about the foreign policy. Rex Tillerson's taking orders. First of all, he's taking orders from his wife because he wasn't really ready and prepared to take the job of Secretary of State. But his wife told him to do it. And we all know, any successful marriage, the wife tells you to do something, you do it. Wasn't that funny? So Tillerson took the job, and now he's like, shit, I like this. He rolls up his sleeves. Man, I'm liking this Secretary of State thing. Woohoo! I got missiles, I got soldiers, I got money, I got power. Let's see. As he strokes his beardless chin. Who can I go after? Well, how about that North Korea? Paper tiger. That's right. I can go after North Korea. I can shake my fist. I can ball my fist up. Rex Tillerson, Houstonian, kind of Texan oil guy accent. And I can shake my fist and say, I'm going to come after you, North Korea. You're on the list. You're threatening Trump's Gulf partner, Abe. You're too close to Abe. And you're too close to our commercial and industrial partners in South Korea. And we don't like missiles you're putting together. We're going to take you out once and for all. We got the power of preemptive strikes. smoked you. We're going to strike you down, North Korea. And then they'll say the same thing about Iran, say the same thing about ISIS. I mean, so the military invective, the aggressive invective is even higher than when Obama was president. See, that's on bad Trump side. Click that box. Bad Trump side. Now we're getting closer and closer and closer to this war in Yemen. Oh boy. He's got Mad Dog Mattis. The guy's never been married. He's a monk. He's a monk. Mad Dog Mattis, the monk. This is what happens when you get married. Get all this pent up. I mean, you don't have to be married. I mean, Rex Tillerson's married. Look what he's doing. But it's about having a healthy sex life. And I'm pretty certain that if you're sitting around reading books by Patton and von Clausewitz and all the major generals, and reading military strategy, we can do this, and we do this, and we do this, and let's play this here, let's play this here. We got all this money. There's something out of balance. You need a little bit of that feminine spirit every now and then. At least I think I do. And if you don't have it, then things are kind of out of balance. And Mattis is a climate change guy. Trump is not a climate change guy. However, and I'm about to get to this, he's come out for more geoengineering. You got to check this out. This is just kind of break-in today. I hate to be the one. I hate to be the guy because, we're a disruptor and we're a disruptive society at this point in time, and Trump is the ultimate disruptor. This is what he's doing. So it says Trump presidency opens door to planet hacking geoengineer experiments. Boom. Right there today on The Guardian. I'm just going to read you a couple paragraphs. Harvard engineers who launched the world's biggest solar geoengineering research program may get a dangerous boost from Donald Trump. Environmental organizations are warning. I mean, where the hell have these environmental organizations been for the last 20 years with chemtrails? Now that Donald Trump is going to get behind geoengineering, oh, it's bad. It's really bad. Where have these clowns been? You see, it takes a boogeyman like Trump to flip the switch on people. Maybe this is the best thing that's ever happened to the left. Really. Because maybe the left gets to wake up off their ass. Because the left, which would never, ever, 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 ever consider a conspiracy theory, they're into all kinds of conspiracy theories. It's the Russians. The Russians did it. The Russians stole the election. Oh my. It's a conspiracy. And now here they come. They're coming in on the geoengineering thing. Oh, this is bad. Really bad. Well, where were you 20 years ago? I'm telling you, we got to get the left switched on with 9/11. If we can flip that switch, we might be able to make some headway with 9/11. And I talked about this over on Facebook. He said, where's the outrage with the left around 9/11? They don't give a shit. I mean, they didn't. As long as their guy was in office, man. As long you see, this is the difference. Fundamental difference. Like, I was for Trump because Trump could disrupt things. We weren't going to get Hillary, and we weren't going to get Jeb Bush, and we'd get this guy that would be unpredictable, and who knows where it would go. It was the spin of a roulette wheel. That's why I was for Trump. I was for some kind of fundamental change, even if the change would be erratic. And it's been erratic as one would expect with a person who has Sun, conjunct Uranus, conjunct the True Node in Gemini. Okay, boom, there it is. But my positions have never changed. My positions have never changed. My positions are the same. In the same that I want to get to and uncover what the hell is going on beneath the so-called official narrative. That's never changed. I was talking about the same things when Bush was president, even though I didn't have a show. I would talk about them with my friends. Anybody would listen. I tell this story every now and then. I used to work at this .com and music.com. And there was a guy that worked at the .com. Great guy. Great guy. One of the best people you will ever meet on the face of this planet. Bar none. Smart, funny, honest, sweet, compassionate. Great guy. And he was one of my seniors at this .com I worked for. And we'd go out and, we'd drink and stuff. And I would just bend his ear. Because I'm coming in. I'm coming in from really the streets, man. I'm not coming in from .com world. I was not working at Apple. I was not working at Microsoft. I was not working at Alta Vista. None of the search engines that were populating. That was not my world. I was coming in from a magazine that was into cyberpunk and cybernetics and electronic music and smart drugs and psychedelics. I mean, that was where I was coming from. So I was coming way from the outside. Way from the outside. And here I am. I'm in this .com. I'll never forget. I mean, I was literally living in a warehouse, a real warehouse for about 2 years. Not a fake warehouse, not an arty warehouse. It was a real, there was no shower or bathtub there in this warehouse. I lived there for 2 years. And I figured out my life, and I figured out how to do everything I needed to do. It was fine. It was great. I loved it. That's where I was coming from. I remember the first day I went to, one of my first days I went to work. Brought my car. I had an old Ford Falcon. I was driving a 1963 Ford Falcon. So I roll up on my Ford Falcon, and I had an old dog. And that was my world. So I would leave my dog in my car, and I'd go, because he was old. He was like, at that point, 13 years old. I'd get out, and I'd walk him around and stuff, and, And I did that for about a week until I sort of settled and got a place to stay. But that was my world. That's where I was coming in from. So I'm bringing in a lot of really crazy ideas, and this guy's listening to me. And I'm going way out, right? I'm talking about the predatory sex of the elites. And I was talking about this way back when, and a bunch of other stuff, mind control, blah, 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 blah. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. He's like, where did this guy come from? Now, keep in mind, this is a guy that he got his master's in business administration from MIT. His undergrad, Stanford. All right, this shows you how smart he is. This shows you how kind of engaged in academia and these great institutions. And after I left, after we that atom split apart, we stayed in touch for a while. We don't stay in touch that much anymore. But he would always say, he'd send me links. You were right about this. You were right about this. You were talking about this years ago. It's true. So I've always been the same. I've always been talking about the same things. If I'd had a radio show during that time when Bush was alive, I would have talked about it, or live, in office. And when I started my blog in 2008, he was barely there. So the breadth of my blog takes place during the Obama era. And I was always the same in the Obama, and I'm the same now. But now the left is coming back, or the left is kind of having their eyes open. Oh my God, there's a conspiracy here. I think Donald Trump might be the best thing that's ever happened to the left. I really do. Now, they may scratch and claw and do everything in their power to hold on to identity politics, because that is their base and that's their ideology. But if they are being challenged to see the world through different eyes, through a different lens, and that maybe the machinations of the world aren't as clear-cut as they believe them to be once they had their man in office, then perhaps we have a chance. Perhaps they can put on those glasses that Rowdy Roddy Piper was wearing, and they live. They can see the world we've been living in, no matter who's president of the United States. That's your 15 minutes of flame today. I'm Robert Phoenix. Join me here again tomorrow at this time. Now remember, these shows are being now posted immediately to my YouTube page. So there are there are two different ways, or three different ways you can experience the show. One, you can come right back here to Spreaker, and you can stream it, you can download it, and you can go to YouTube right now, right after this show. We're living in an amazing world, amazing time. Hyper technology, instant gratification. So I'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m., right here, Central Standard Time, breaking it down for you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being a part of it, as always. This is Robert Phoenix with your 15 Minutes of Flame.